Hello and welcome to
Absolute Game Off.
Nerd! We are your non-geek, non-nerd hosts, Salt and Pepper. And today we have a very special guest, someone that I have a jealousy towards the collection. I love watching what he posts. It's a great collection. We have Cinemachan. And Rohan, if you could give him a more proper introduction, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I want to point out, everyone knows, so we're going to talk about Cinemachan. He's got a huge Dave Stevens collection and affinity for Dave Stevens. Hence why JP is jealous. He's obviously become a big fan of Dave Stevens. But I want to real quick point out, everyone notice how JP has rearranged his background to accommodate tonight. We don't know how long it'll last, though, because his wife may not love it. So we shall see next week on the recording. But again, another great guest. Again, this is actually my first time chatting with David Cinemachan tonight. Very happy to have him on. I've heard a lot about him from JP. I've heard a lot about him from Ryan of Collecting Casually, who's kind of JP's Dave Stevens counter buddy. So Cinemachan, thank you so much for coming on. How you doing today?
Hey, thank you. Very good. Every day is a Dave Stevens day for me because I come in, I see my Mr. Monster, a signed one, and I see my collections of Dave Stevens, and I'm just a happy guy. I mean, that's what it's all about. If I can see my collection and just know the history and the love that went into it, I'm good all day.
Love it. I love that passion.
Definitely bring a smile on your face.
Yeah. And JP, I noticed in your collection that you also have a dolphin, first dolphin, which is another one of my favorites. If we talk about that all day, if we wanted to, just on J. Scott Pike on that book alone. So I'm very impressed with everything you got back there.
Wait, who's the artist on Dolphin again?
J. Scott Pike. He created Dolphin for Showcase 79, and is literally the best green cover of all time. I'll just say that flat out.
The X-Men 50 Steranko fans are come to fists with you.
Close second to me. But
yeah, I mean,
it's
you
just
can't
the
beat
pose
that
of that woman. Yeah, it is pretty dope.
So let me ask. So we always kind of start with the same question, and it is, what is your origin story? And I'm actually really curious because I'm curious if your origin started with Dave Stevens or did it evolve to there?
No.
So tell me, take us way back whenever came in.
So I'm originally from Hong Kong, but I moved to Hawaii, and collecting comics there was actually very prominent with my friends. And what's great about that is that, it's a small island, so we share a lot of things, like X-Men's and all those Marvel stuff. But only when I left Hawaii to come to California, which is where I'm at right now, and sunny California, Hollywood, and all that stuff, which is where I work. I actually do a lot of visual effects, and believe it or not, I work for graphics for attorneys too. So that's a different chapter of my life. But as far as comics go, I started collecting old comic books from Jade Comic Books. It's from China, and it's like these watercolor comic books. And then I started evolving to Marvel and DC, more Marvel. But if you really have to go back even further, it's like all these Chinese comic books I had as a kid. That started when I was literally 7 years old.
And these are like actual Chinese stories, not like Chinese versions of American comics.
No, these are Chinese comic books. Like they're kind of like more like Walt Disney books. They're very comical. One of them is called The Master. It's about this guy who gets into trouble. I mean, it's like Donald Duck kind of thing. And then I involved. I said, really, it was a one person giving me a digest. If you know what that means, it's like a small little.
I mean, I grew up with Reader's Digest.
Okay. There you go. It's like a small mini graphic novel, but it's all pulpy. It's very cheap paper. And it was Avengers, and it was Avengers 57. And I fell in love with the Vision, and that was it. Then I got more from my cousin, and I got more and more. And then I said, I'm going to buy my own comic books because I'd rather buy something cooler than what I have, because it's just all black and white. I wanted color, Very poor. You guys know the deal. If you guys were poor and you had no comics to buy, not enough money to buy comic books, you steal quarters from your mom's purse and go to the comic store and get comic books.
Oh yeah, I've done my fair share of thievery from the mom's purse to buy some things like this.
Yeah. But that's the kind of origin. But basically, I've been collecting for over 40 years. Amassing pretty good amount of comic books, and but just a typical comic book goer, X-Men, even Superman, and Fantastic Four, Avengers. But I really haven't gotten up to Dave Stevens, and you won't believe this, only 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. Wait, so real quick, when did that documentary on Amazon come out?
That came out years ago.
So, okay, that wasn't what prompted you. You were before that then?
Yeah. So here's the second origin story, if you will. So obviously, just buying Spider-Man, I actually took a hiatus after the Image crash, if you will.
So you took a break like we did?
I think everybody did.
Everyone in the 90s, I feel like.
It's weird that like everyone remembered it like a tragedy, It was like the worst thing that ever could happen for speckers, and then all of a sudden the comic book stores just died. It was just like all the comic book stores in Hawaii just started to, just disappearing. It's just like one of those, weird things that happened in 1992, 93, 94.
I was going to say on that, just kind of a quick funny aside. We have a good buddy, Chris, he's Cheddar Comics on Instagram. And he posted this picture where he bought, so he's a dealer and he bought a collection. It was either 200 or 300 Jim Lee X-Men ones. And it was that exact reason. Someone in 1991 or whatever, 92, whatever, was like, I'm going in on these. And he bought like 300 of them for, a couple bucks. And he ended up, obviously those are worth $3 now. And so he sold them all to Cheddar for, $100 or something like that.
They still circulated. That's interesting because when I sell on my whatnot, I'll have an X-Men one here and there and they get bought. It's not like,
I mean, that's what he says. He's like, these are a great buy because he's like, I'll sell a set or two of like, cause they have like the different covers. He's like, I'll sell a set or two every sale. He's like, I get them for a couple bucks. You sell them for a couple bucks. He's like, it's actually a great profit margin. And I was like, no, and I mean, like, when you think of like top 10 lists that all these YouTubers do, if they actually did like the real top 10, like best-selling comic that was in a new, it would probably be like X-Men 1.
Oh yeah.
Spawn 1 and Spider-Man 1.
And Spider-Man 1. Yeah. All the early 90s boom still resonates with us. Whether it's traumatic, it left a scar for us somehow. It could be, I get shell shock sometimes. I'll be like, oh my God, I remember buying like 50 of these at cover price. Just think, because I wasn't, I was like, 16, 17 at the time. And I was just thinking, I'm going to invest. Like, I never invested before, but this is a great time. And you didn't realize that they made 8 million of these things.
No, I mean, you just saw the number one and you're like, oh, baby.
Well, I was in the money.
Not to mention, like, Jim Lee was, and Todd McFarlane, when you think about Spider-Man 1, like, both those artists were just like so
red hot. It was like the moon, planets aligned, everything. Yeah.
Well, I bought my dad and I bought 100 copies of Wildcats #1 so we can get the gold version.
Oh.
And
wow.
And I was like, I was happy to get that. Cost us more than 100. I think it was $100 or maybe 125 to get it because they're $1.25 a piece. Cool, and I still probably have 50 #1s left. And I traded the gold version a couple years ago, and I'm trying to get it back. I doubt I'll find it in a long box somewhere at an antique store. I'll have to buy it at a show. But
what would that cost today, JP?
I don't know.
Gold one?
$50 to $80.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's more like what my goal is to do is to find every of those Image books, Wildcats, Savage Dragon, Spawn, all newsstand, and get them graded, and just display those. And I have a pretty good list so far.
Wait,
but they're
do you
not
want like 9/8 of those or anything?
No, I don't want 9/8 because I know they'll take me. I'll have to buy them that way. I see the pressers behind you. I don't think I can press something to a 9/8, but it would be almost impossible to find those, in the wild 9/8. But
But you're holding history. That's the thing about those. I have every single one of them. All the, the Dark Hawk. Is it Dark Hawk? No, not Dark Hawk. what was that one from Jim Valentino?
Shadowhawk. Yeah,
Shadowhawk.
1 and 2.
Yeah. Oh, what is that?
Yeah, there was this Shadowhawk 1, and then there was that they had a couple issues, and they had Shadowhawk 2 #1 again. Like I didn't know what the difference was, but yeah,
they're notorious for starting all over after before they even hit the double digits, and that's what sank me actually, because
the constant restarts.
Because the #1 issues you gotta buy.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the theory nowadays too, right? Like how many times have they restarted Spider-Man and Black Panther because it's the #1 sell?
Right, FOMO does not die; it will never die. I mean, I'm part of it too, so I'm even now sometimes I'll still buy something that I feel I shouldn't buy, but I like it. So just buy what you like. It's really everyone's motto, hopefully.
And if you want to read a book, read a book. If you don't want to read it, don't read it, because it doesn't matter. Do what you want, right?
Right, exactly.
That goes out to Ricky.
But anyway,
continue on with your story.
So again, collecting comic books all the way till 1994. Stopped collecting anything. I just was done. But I was still collecting trade paperbacks because I still wanted to read books. I just didn't want to buy into the individual issues that made me buy 3 or 4 of them, because I just couldn't. I know I can be a sucker for those things, but I didn't want to fall into that trap. So because I was just angry, especially after the death of Superman. That did it for me. Like that was a death of comics for me at the time.
Well, death of Superman. Talk about another one that I thought was going to go to the moon. That when you got the black bag, you're like, I'm never opening this.
I'm retiring on this one.
Yeah. I mean, you guys can do a whole section on why 1992 to 94 was just the worst time of comics, But that being said, it might have intrigued me to venture into better things like independent comic books at the time. I was reading stuff like History of Violence, even those ones that come into movies, even Road to Perdition. That was all comic books before.
I didn't know that was a comic book.
Yeah, so History of Violence, was a great film. Road to Perdition, another great film. Men in Black, same thing. That's also a comic book became a movie. So I thought, these are great reads, so why not open up to that? So my 2 decades of not buying the, the Ultimates, which I totally did, missed out. The New 52, I totally missed out on that because those were in that era. I just started reading, more quality comics at the time. And
can I ask, did you read Ninja Turtles at all?
So here's the funny thing. I was just talking to this with my friend in Hawaii. We did not. Nobody in Hawaii cared about Ninja Turtles. Everyone's talked about X-Men, all the John Byrne and Chris Claremont stuff, but nobody talked about Turtles. No, we saw the television show. No one cared about the animated television series.
Oh, see, that was a big thing for me.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I came to California, everyone said, "Oh, you got any Turtles? You got any like." No, no one even touched that stuff. So short story real quick, 30 seconds. There was a guy in Whatnot, opened up a garage in Hawaii. All he wanted to buy was the storage of, a whole bunch of electronics. On the corner was 3 boxes. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I do.
And they're like 3 tubs and Silver Age comic books. In there were 30 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1. I know, I saw your eyes just perk up right there. And 10 number 2s.
Wait, were they first prints, the number 1s?
No, so 2 of them, 3 of them, or 4 of them were second prints, and the rest are third prints, but in pristine condition. Anyway, that's how it was. No one cared. They just stuck it in the corner and left it with the electronic gear in the storage.
Man, that's still what a find.
There could be more down there.
Yeah, we're all going to Hawaii tomorrow. Maybe let's.
Don't worry, it'll pay for your trip.
On a hunt. So we're gonna look at every garage.
Oh yeah, just go to Storage Wars and just buy every storage room. Of some guy. If you see the guy's like, he looks like a comic book dude, then you buy it, right? But after that, coming from Hawaii to California, no Turtles. No one cared about Turtles. But after the boom, I restarted collecting 2.5 years ago. And, I'm going to add a little sad story, but don't worry about it. It's not as sad as it now. But I decided to come back into comic books because of COVID. As you know,
I don't think you're alone in that.
I wasn't in the COVID boom. Everyone said it was the best time to sell, and unfortunately, I was not into comic books still. I was still buying trade paperbacks. And so I got in late, but some guy was selling, a person sold her brother's collection who passed away. And then I bought it. It was like 80 something short boxes of comic books. And I was like, all right, childhood in one single purchase, right? Revived. So I never knew anything about golden age books. I don't know anything about silver age books. I only know from bronze and copper, and that's about it. And so I thought this would be a great education. Sad part about this is that I learned about my son. He was diagnosed literally 3 days after with leukemia. Ooh. And it just devastated us as a family. But what was great is that the doctor ensured that this is a better kind of leukemia, believe it or not, because it actually is very curable. So during my time off, I was actually cleaning my comic books and studying them and looking and said, what's this? Jungle Girl, Atlas Comics. What's Atlas? I didn't know anything. Literally 2 years ago, I knew nothing about that stuff. Now I feel like, it's always around me and I'm able to like dialogue with people about that stuff, know who Alex Toth is, Matt Baker, Alex Schomburg, literally 2 years ago, I didn't know any of those names. Now I'm the biggest fan.
I mean, to be perfectly fair, I'd be in the same boat. I didn't really know differentiations between Golden Age and Silver. Like I didn't know that as a kid.
Right.
I obviously knew Batman, Superman, and Captain America. I always knew they came in the 40s. But if you had told me who's Matt Baker, who's Alex Schomburg, I'd be like, I don't know. I know Jim Lee. I know McFarlane.
Yeah. That's my education for sure.
In the 90s, they had, I forget when I got the book, sometime in the 90s, that big, thick Marvel Universe book. It was about
like the encyclopedia.
Yeah. Right.
And that had the Golden Age in there. And I remember Schomburg's name, but I had no idea who Matt Baker was or that Schomburg did anything but Namor, because I only thought he did Submariner and Human Torch. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's really cool because when you get a collection, and I'm sure you guys have done it too, when you get a collection, you do the research. Like you don't know if it's worth money at all. It's like it's old, but and then you look at it, oh my God, it's worth $100 or $200, right? And that was another surprising thing for me because I didn't know comic books jumped up that much in price. Post COVID, it was like oh my God, this I bought Spider-Man 300 for $30, and now it's worth $3,000 depending on what grade it is. Like it blew my mind that it inflated that much. But I guess if you waited 40 years, it will, go to a certain, height in value. So that was exciting. But in this collection was also a Dave Stevens collection. And I said, it's weird. I actually know this art. And lo and behold, I looked in my old collection and I found this. And I'm going to get this up real quick. This book this is my original book that I had, and I said, of course I would have something like this because it's a compilation book, and I collect a lot of compilation books. So this is, actually that's my little logo here on the but this is Planet Comics, with the girl with the gun, very classic Dave Stevens. But this is also the history of Dave Stevens, and everything from the day he was born about his parents all the way till he passed away. And he passed away from hairy cell leukemia. So I said, wow, that's weird when I learned about him and my son. So that was a weird connection. And I was able to learn all about Dave, his family, and all the people he acquainted himself with. And then I said, I know all about Dave's work. So as I'm going through the collection, I picked out everything that I recognize as Dave's work. Airboy, Vampirella, you can't miss it. It's just beautiful women. It's just like the most best good girl art ever.
Yeah, you can recognize Dave Stevens' book today for sure.
Right.
And my education of Dave Stevens is literally because of JP here getting into it. What's funny
I applaud you, JP. Good job.
What's funny is like I, as a child, I vividly remember seen like the Rocketeer movie.
Right.
But I had no idea that had a tie to Dave Stevens.
No, yeah.
And it was JP. He got that print that's behind him that you guys were talking about before.
Oh my God, what a lovely print.
And he showed it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember the Rocketeer as a kid. He's like Dave. And I still didn't know who Dave Stevens was then.
Yeah.
And then as he kept going, then I'm like, oh, okay, this is something different here.
Yeah. Well, you probably felt the rise of, you couldn't turn anywhere without hearing about a Dave Stevens book that made a record sale, in the last year.
Well, I remember JP said like, oh, I just watched the documentary on Amazon, blah, blah, blah. And then like all of a sudden you just see it popping up on Instagram, popping up on claim sales, and people just like snapping them up.
Yeah. Well, it was once a $2 bin book, so when I went back to, my first con after my son's his diagnosis of leukemia, I was digging through dollar bins and finding Dave Stevens all over the place. There were like $2, $1, $5 bundles with, like 3 books of his. And to me, I feel like, wow, this is such a amazing finds for anybody. And some of them are signed by Jack Kirby because he worked with him on Last of the Vikings, if you ever know. Yeah. So that's also a treasure because you get to find things that they've done with other people, like Girl Crazy with Jaime Hernandez, who did Love and Rockets. He also collaborated with Dorman in painting. All this great stuff you can discover as you go along if you dig deep for a certain artist. So that was fun for me for that whole year. But in that year, I met Jennifer Stevens at Comic-Con, which is Dave Stevens' sister, who now is the estate holder of all of Dave Stevens' stuff. And, Dave was a hoarder. So can you imagine like all the amazing things, the world of Dave Stevens in that place where his ideas never come to fruition? And you can see like, Rocketeer and all the other things. And just speaking of that, this is a mailer that he did, but this is the beginnings of the Rocketeer because he's a big fan of Commando Cody, which is a Rocketeer. He was a Rocket Man. He's called Rocket Man in the television series. And here's Dave Stevens drawing it as though it's like, this is like the beginnings of the Rocketeer right here, here. Crazy. This is crazy, right? So I just like, I just like finding little things that are kind of like his origins of things, And then I became a Dave Stevens fan. Later on, I started collecting. I met up with Kelvin Mao. He's the director of the documentary.
Okay.
So, Drawn to Perfection is the documentary's name. It is free on Amazon right now, even on YouTube, I think. But you can investigate that. But if you have Amazon, which everyone does, it's free, so you can watch it for free. And then make sure you bring some handkerchiefs at the very.
Now, quick, your son's doing okay?
Yeah, so he is doing very well. He is going to be on his last chemo session this coming April. So that's going to be
great.
That's going to be worth celebrating.
So no transplant for him?
Was that?
Did he do a transplant?
Oh, no, there's no transplant. It's just chemo. So basically he goes for, medicine and, different kinds of medications that he has to do at the hospital. But he's doing well. He's in college now. And
nice.
Is he a Dave Stevens fan?
He's a fan of the real life Dave Stevens women that are at college. That's
He loves the figure. Maybe he's not a comic book fan. How's that?
Yeah.
So, he does. He probably, I could say he definitely admires the beautiful art of it.
Now, in the documentary, there was Thomas Jane was in there.
The Punisher actor.
Yeah, he wrote Bad Planet with Dave Stevens. So was the writer of that. So he was in there.
Wait, the actor used to be a comic book writer?
Writer. Well, this was 2008. So this is about the same time Deep Blue Sea came out and Punisher came out.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So he was on that one, but there was a bunch of people that I didn't really know from there. There was one woman who had glasses on, and like the one woman was like Dave's muse that he would.
And
he married her, and they got divorced or something.
Brink Stevens.
Yeah, and then there was another woman who was never. They never identified who she was.
Oh, you mean at the very end? So he's had many girlfriends, but a lot of them are like they were in the documentary. Those who are close to him. I can't think of their names right off the bat.
And they didn't put her name down. Like I was like, well, who is this? I'm trying to figure out the connection because you saw again Thomas Jane and some other famous people. They talked about Neil Adams and the connection with that they had together, and his sister and all that. So I was just trying to curious what the connections were. So I don't know if you knew that, but I don't know if the woman was another muse of his.
There are so many.
Yeah.
It's funny that I brought a painting and I didn't know who the woman was. And then I brought it to a person who's very well known, who knows Dave very well. And I said, "Who's this?" He's like, "It's just one of his muses." It's like very casual. Like he would invite and some of them he would reuse all the time. But Brink was his first love. One that he met at the Comic-Con because she actually attended Comic-Con back in the day. So that was kind of fun. This was like in 1977 or something like that.
She was an actress or something, right?
She became an actress. She was a model.
Oh yeah, okay.
Then later on, she became a scream queen. You remember those magazines like Femme Fatale and all that? Yeah, that's one of them. I think she was one of those. And she made a great name for herself because of Dave Stevens. Because everyone who's had a tie with Dave somehow elevated themselves because they also want to be as good as Dave, or just be with Dave because he always inspires ideas. If you watch a documentary, you'll see Jaime Hernandez just coming by and says, "What's that?" He goes like, "Oh, it's nothing." He goes, "Looks good." He goes like, "It's not finished. Looks finished to me." I was like, so Dave is never finished with his work. If he could redo that Mr. Monster, he would.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was notorious for how much time it took to get the work done. That's why Rocketeer didn't make it very long. And again, a lot of the artists in the Image days they took a lot longer time because art to get it to that level, you need time. It isn't just I don't know how the hell Jack Kirby did as many as he did. That's probably part of the reason why I don't like Kirby's work as much.
I mean, I think that I think that's why you don't like him because I mean I think he doesn't have as much like detail, I would say, when you get down into it, like say Dave Stevens does. And I think that's what allowed him. But like, I obviously love it. I think lots of people love it, but I think that's also what allowed him to just do things so quickly.
Yeah.
It's my guess. I have no idea.
Well, he had 5 books he was doing at the same time.
I mean, I feel like 5 is a conservative number. I mean, considering like
I know, right? I mean, I said 5 just to kind of like to say, well, maybe it's more than that, but I don't want like some scholar of Jack Kirby saying like, "You're wrong, David. He did 10 books."
But that's the thing. If Dave was still around today, I mean, he would. I mean, I'm sure he did well for himself, but I'm sure it wasn't like it is now with these artists. And if he'd have made it, well, he did get to the 90s, but I think that the amount of popularity he has now, that he would be at every show. I mean, just turning out custom prints and original art that would just yield so much money. It'd be crazy because that. Again, that's probably the fact that the rarity of it now because of his death is what makes it probably even more money. But
right, yeah,
it's kind of one of those 22s.
Yeah, it is because the documentary wouldn't have been made if he was still alive. This book would not have been made because this was his passion project to finish before he passed away. So he was working on this book knowing about his passing, and so. A lot of things, I don't want to be morbid, but the time he passed was almost like he was on the edge of a new paradigm shift of comic books. What I mean by that is like digital art, digital painting, which he has touched on a few. But if you look at all the works that he's done, none of them were digital. They're all handcrafted, hand painted, hand colored. And then you look at the times that he was in. He was with the great ones. He was with like Bernie Wrightson. He was with Michael Kaluta. He was with also with William Stout. He's with the old school guys, and he knew the new school guys because he's the one that ushered Adam Hughes to where because if you don't know,
he's kind of the bridge from the old generation to the next.
Right. So So Dave was almost like this kind of invisible bridge that you knew it was there, but no one ever talked about him. Think about it. Like in the 80s and 90s, no one was talking about Dave as though he's like, he's like even John Byrne or anybody in that sort, because he wasn't a superstar. Only to among people who really loved him, loved his works. I think he wasn't like, he wasn't like, his name wasn't in lights like how, if you went to Comic-Con, J. Scott Campbell's name was in bright lights. It's like, that's movie star level stuff. That's right.
And that's what doesn't understand it with Stevens. I mean, when you look at his work, you can't miss it. That's what I mean. Yes. Like I can glance over, nothing against some of the artists from the 80s, but a lot of guys that drew Batman and Spider-Man drew them well, very well proportioned. Not like the fat Spider-Man from the early, Silver Age days, but they all drew them very well. None of it stuck out. I couldn't tell you which one was Al Milgrom, which one was
right.
But it was all good. It was all great work and inspired me to, when I drew, you used those. But when you see Dave Stevens, the look in the face, just it's so different. I don't know how he brings it alive, but it's just
I think he draws in a molecular level. Is kind of like what his brushstrokes are so detailed that it almost mimics real life shadowing, real life, positions, even like the eyelids and eyebrows. I would look at it and it said, there's something more to than this a woman sitting down with her leg up. There's more than just a woman putting her hand on her shoulders and tilting her head. Like, it's the right tilt. It's the right body fat that shows up a little bit, It's the right amount of everything that just resonates as realism, even though it's in illustration in a comic book form. I'm looking at everything back there and say, I can tell if that was a Dave Stevens, brush stroke or not. Just because we're able to have the ability, he's given us enough information to make that distinction.
The way you kind of describe that, it seems like very analogous to, like, you've heard about like how Michelangelo used to like go into the morgue illegally to dissect like bodies.
Yes, I did hear about that.
Yeah, and that's how he was able to sculpt them so lifelike, is because he had studied the human body so intricately in actual form. And so when you kind of describe Dave Stevens, is that right?
He studied women. There's no going around that. He studied. The women were live, and he drew them. And he drew everything beautiful about it. And he's always said, he would take parts like that. That hip looks good, but on that body would be great. But with that head and hair, it would be just fantastic. So there's a lot that he amalgamates from different women that makes it just sing. If taking the words from Adam Hughes,
it pops. And the first time I saw I knew I saw Dave Stevens back in the 90s, and I don't know why I don't have any in my collection then, because I would have picked it up. I don't know where it went. I was mostly McFarlane, Liefeld, Jim Lee, but I don't think I would have missed that. But it had to be during the pandemic, but before that Prime Video came out. It was Lords of the Long Box.
Is that documentary you said?
No, it's a podcast.
It's a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Lords of the Long Box, and TiVo was the main person.
Oh, TiVo, yeah.
He just passed away.
Yeah, I know.
He showed, it was, I'm trying to think which one it was. I have it up on the wall here. Chevelle Noir number 7.
7.
And I saw it. I'm like, I should go look for that on eBay right now. And I bought it from somebody for like $30 or $35.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You got a deal.
Had to bring him down from 45. I was like, I can't pay $45 for this. It's not a a key comic.
Right.
And I got it for $35, and I was like, man, this is. And you look at it, and it just really takes you in. And so therefore, I started at that point looking for more Dave Stevens, and then the documentary came out, and things went crazy, and I didn't even realize it was getting crazy. I just kept getting as many as I could. Through eBay or finding them in long boxes. So
I know, and that's the best way. If you go to cons, even today, some people never pull them out. No, there's no time to look at 100 long boxes just to find one Dave Stevens to make $1, or 10 or 100.
Or the ones that are on the back, like Madman #4. It's on the back.
There you go. I know,
Right?
beautiful. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite covers.
Yeah. It's great. It's one.
And Crossfire 20.
Oh, Crossfire. For the back.
Yeah.
Crossfire 24. That's appeared on like 3 or 4 comic books, like Micro, the Time Travelers, Airboy #8. I know all this. I memorize all this stuff. It's just
it's very clear. Like, not only are you a fan of the work, you're a fan of the man himself. So
I am. I'm fascinated by his process, and I used to draw too, and I never drew as slow as him. But was it ever as good as his? No. Because he was drawing a masterpiece. If you think about key books, like you said, JP, none of it are key books, but now almost every one of them are key Dave Stevens books. Yep. So you take any Dave Stevens, even semi-lesser ones, like, the ones he inked, like, Grendel #4. Yeah. Something that is remotely not even close, was once you couldn't even give it away. And now you could sell it for $10 today.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, when you look at, like,
there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the cover. I know even I'm not a big fan of it, but I know he did the work on it because his name's on there. But it's not not his best work. But it wasn't his work.
But
it has value now, which is weird.
Yep.
There you go. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say with like the key comics, right? Like when you look up, let's just say you look up Batman key comics, right? A couple of them are going to be like Batman 227, which has no significance really, but it's that classic Neil Adams cover, and so it's identified as a key. So that's what you're getting with these Dave Stevens books.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's like saying Bernie writes in House of Secrets. Like, I'm gonna buy it because he was a master. You look at Bernie Wrightson's works. If you look at his newest book called not newest, but one of his artist edition books called Bernie Wrightson from IDW. It is gorgeous. Every line work is, and they're peers. That's the great thing about that time. Like, they knew how good the other person was. So I want to be just as good. And I think that's what resonates. Hopefully today. I'm not sure. All I see is covers. I'm sorry to say, but I don't read anything today. All I see is like cover books. They're like,
you're in good company here because JP and I aren't. And like, people give us crap for that. It's just like, look, I read some as a kid, but like I read. It's not like I don't read. I read books, right? But it's like, especially because I'm not into new comics. I'm into the vintage stuff, and so it's like I'm not reading. I'm into, the way I tell people is like, I fell in love with these characters as a kid.
Yeah.
And so now I love the history of these characters. That's why I collect their first appearances. Things like, I don't honestly need to. I told this the other day. I was like, I don't need to read a Silver Age book from the 60s because guess what? Those are kind of boring. Like,
they are boring.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just like anything. It's like if you read a Charles Dickens book today, it's just like, my God, this is like.
Yeah, it's
like the big drama is the woman went out to the bar by herself. You know what I mean? Like, like times have evolved, so it's like I don't need to read antiquated reading.
What was the name of that room inside the house back then that they went and talked in? There was a specific room that people went into. It wasn't a bar room, but it was like I forget the name of it.
It's like a hidden room or something.
No, like it was. Everyone had this particular room, like a dining room, but it was where people went and.
It's like a lounge or or the sitting room. I don't know.
It had a name to it, and every book I read back then, I'm like, "What the hell is this room?" Because I don't have that room, but I was like, You knew you were reading a book that was 100 years old at the time, and it didn't.
I'd rather put comic books all over the place. That's what I'd rather do.
Yeah,
I like your room. Like, that's a impressive room. I mean, I only have like a small little wall behind me, but one day I'm gonna.
Can I ask? Are those again? I have an absolute minimal knowledge here, so I'm just going to ask.
No problem.
Are those original pieces behind you?
So this one is a print, but it's signed by Dave Stevens. So I love Mr. Monster because, first of all, it's not a woman. It's not a good girl art, but it's like drawn so sexy. I'm not going to lie. It looks amazing. It's a Mr. Monster. I think JP is going to grab it, right? It is one of the best looking ones. It has like the Little Rascals. You got the little dog. You got it just looks like the Little Rascals, and it's just a strong. It's like a man who is overly strong and protecting these scared children. It's so beautiful. how to. It's like I said, it's magic when you look at his stuff. And to answer like JP's question before, like, when we collected, only Marvel and DC, what was great is that Dave is like behind the scenes. He's drawing everything in the indie world. He's drawing Madman. He's drawing, Betty Page. He's drawing, for Eclipse magazine, Eclipse Comics, Kamiko Comics, Harris Comics. I mean, that's just something that's just like this. Like, this is an Eclipse. Like, of course, we all know Airboy. Sorry, I'm bringing out some of the stuff here.
No, like, bring out as much as you want. Yeah, no, we don't mind.
This is some info here. This is actually a homage to Air Fighters Volume 2, Number 2. And it's exactly the same pose, except there's no crazy dude over here. This is actually a crazy bald dude over here, but I guess he didn't like the crazy bald dude. So stuff like that is awesome to see. Of course, another one of my favorites. This is the only time that he's actually drawn for DC, which is not. I'm not including the Who's Who number 4, 7, and 18. Those are the ones he did the interiors for, which is beautiful. Believe it or not, Who's Who, you couldn't give those away. And then they were sold for $40 each this past year because of his interior. That's the magic of how. So number 4, 7, and 18. Dolphin, Catwoman, and Phantom Lady. The Phantom Lady is beautiful, but Dolphin, oh my God, Dolphin is the one. So I want DC to reprint that, but this is one of the DC ones that he's done, and he just killed it. This is
I've seen that one.
Yeah, this is House of Mystery, right? Yeah, I gotta go closer to get the reflection here.
Yeah, I see it. I've seen that one before.
But what's great about this one? It's a pedigree. How's that? That's nuts, right?
What pedigree is it?
Yes,
it's the Savannah pedigree. It's this guy who was born in 2000 World War I. And he collected comic books for 95 years and just got into the collection. If you notice, most pedigrees are not modern comic books.
I don't even think they're not allowed to be, really.
Right, but this made it because
of all the other stuff he had.
He collected all the way to 1985 or 1980, So this made it 1982. 87. Sorry, 87. So I thought that's kind of cool. That you got a DC. He actually did a DC cover. Is
that the only one he did
for DC? Yes, if I can say with my knowledge, I'm pretty sure that's the only. Yeah, I mean everything else was like.
Say that I was trying to think in my head which one was it, and it was right behind me, but I don't see it as a DC book. I just see Elvira. That's all I see.
Right, yeah. Oh wait, no. Yeah, I keep missing, but that's the only DC book cover that he's done for DC. I'm sure it'll be corrected somehow. But if you ever need a resource, go to a site called DaveStevens.com. You will find everything you need to know of what Dave did, up to the microscopic line that he might have drawn a line in the comic book, and it's there.
Are you the administrator of that page?
No, there's a guy. It's awesome. This guy who is in I'm not sure, not in this country, who's running this site. So I can almost proudly say that I just checked the site right now. He only did that for DC, which is this one. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
now, can I ask, do you have a top favorite of Dave Stevens?
Well, look what I have here on the side here.
All right.
Yeah. So my top ones are here, but I'll show you a few oddities because I have to dig into it before I can get there.
Yeah.
So if you guys remember a book series called Choose Your Own Adventure, he did a cover for Choose Your Own Adventure.
Look at that.
That's sweet. So, that's awesome. So again, one of those little treasures you may never know about that he's done.
JP's taking notes here of what he gotta go find.
Yeah, because think about it. Like, did Jack Kirby ever do a Choose Your Own Adventure? I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
I just found a book on eBay that Alex Schomburg did.
Oh, so and he did a cover
like that one. It's called Pike's Peak.
Oh wow! So I like that they've done illustrations like that.
Yeah.
Like this one, Dave also did a card.
Oh, sweet.
And it's a slide card. Look at that.
I love that part.
Where did I see that recently? Someone had it on a claim sale recently.
That was me, probably.
Oh, okay, yeah, it probably was you then.
Yeah, were you on Elite?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. I was no one bought it because it was a little expensive.
What does that thing go for now?
Well, $400, but I had it at $350. So you guys want to make a claim? Say claim right now. I'm just joking. Here's another one that I love. Jade from Johnny Quest. It almost feels like Arthur Adams. If you look at the face, it has that really Arthur Adams feel. I'm not sure if you can feel the same thing I am too. But this is a newsstand, so I'm very happy because that's a very rare times that I find anything that's newsstand for Dave Stevens. We talked about this.
I've only found only one. Yeah, there's a Madman. Yep.
Isn't this gorgeous? I call it the B50. This is like the B52s.
The girl in orange is the best.
I know. I know. Where am I pointing at here? I'm pointing here.
Yeah, you're pointing right
where JP's
pointing, yeah, right there. Yeah, he's so good at drawing the headlights. I cannot explain why they're magical. The way he draws them.
Some usually he doesn't draw them as much as Adam Hughes does in regard to top heavy. You know what I mean? He does more that athletic look.
Yeah.
But that's one of the ones where he did more of a Adam Hughes voluptuous type.
So Rowan, you said top 5. This is definitely one of them. It's a Betty Page. This is very popular. This was done in a very this was done in the catalog. And it showcases all of Betty Page's pictures in here in black and white. You can order them. This is like a catalog, so that's interesting that this was made into a catalog. But Dave Stevens did this image.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Probably my top cover.
Oh yeah, if you can get the Kiss comics, it's a larger format. So that's
I have no choice of either one, and I went for the. As you can see, the movie star.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a more full picture of her as opposed to just like cut off at the knee.
Yeah, so this is better because you get to see every ounce of Dave's magic in there. Of course, one of my favorites, Vampirella. Yeah. I've gotten many offers for this because there's only like 9 of these on the census. In this grade. It is tough. Look at this black cover on the side. Like it's just not forgiving around there. And then you have, the white cover, and the spine just like it can get mutilated in any long box if you found it. I found this at WonderCon for $5 by no. It was just in there.
Wait, you found that for $5 and it became a 9.8?
Yes, because I looked at it. I said, "This is $5." Mine. I looked at it. I said, "Where else can you find a?" Usually this would be on the wall. Yeah. You found it on the wall, but.
Wait, so let's just real quick play. You said you've gotten offers for it. What could you have sold that book for at these offers?
Oh, it was about, I could, 1,500.
Oh, so you got from $5 to 15.
Yeah, but I wasn't selling because.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying it's nice margin there.
Yeah. Of course, the best of all. Well, I'll show you the one before this. But it is this one. Oh, this is my second favorite of the time. This is a gorgeous copy that is
signed. There you go.
So until GSA is going to do magazines, this is staying in my PC until that time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that. It's just one of the. It has Dave in there.
Yeah,
Dave is in there, and look at this structure. Like JP, you were saying, if you look at just like the way he just does, like this is an S curve. It's just there's magic in that. Like he chose these lines, and if you look at the line weight, it's just beautiful. Like it's very thick here, and it's like it's real hips.
The shading is just it's
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous book.
Yeah, like again, the more I put these out on the living room, my wife just said no.
I know.
But the ultimate one is this one.
Planet. Yep.
Planet. Okay.
It is truly the most amazing.
I
this
mean,
is what got me.
That would be his most iconic, I assume, right? That's the one I've seen the most. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's no doubt that I would say everyone else would say the same thing because it's something about it. Like it's not just full frontal gorgeousness. It's a side view with a cool, scooter. There's a story in here somewhere.
And that's an homage to a Golden Age book, I believe, right?
So a lot of people have said that it's an homage to this one girl riding a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Golden Age. I don't know. I can't confirm that exactly. But I can see a lot of. I think it was Mr. Longshort was talking about it at that one point. He talked about it one. He's another IG guy. But here's the best part about this book.
This is the double cover one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And they're both 9/8.
They're both 9/8.
Both covers.
So this actually came back a 9/4. I fought it. I said no, it's not 9/4. And if you looked at it, it's just a George. So this is to me the treasure of my treasures.
And you had two of those, right?
I did have two. So
you had two double covers.
Two double covers.
I had two double covers, both 9/8, and I put one up for sale on Instagram.
I bet that's the one I've shared in the group. I probably saw it.
Yeah, it literally disappeared in the first 3 seconds. It was gone.
What did you post it on?
On my IG.
Okay, yeah, I could have sworn I've seen the double cover night. It had to have been yours then.
Yeah, I kind of advertised it. I did a little show and tell about it.
Submariner bought it, right?
Yes, he did buy it, and he showed it off, and we're great friends now.
Yeah,
we're both like Dave Stevens, like brothers.
Wait, who you say?
If you look at Submariner,
Oh, okay.
He's on IG. If you look at his IG, you can see like there's Submariner comics and there's like Spider-Man. And all of a sudden, it switches to Dave Stevens, and it's just nothing but Dave Stevens as you go up and down all the most recent posts.
Yeah.
Do you know who, or do you follow RS Callis?
No.
You should look him up on.
Oh, I'm sure. I probably know who he is. Yeah, I don't.
I think his collection, it goes from Golden Age to modern, superhero, non-superhero, but he's got, all the Dave Stevens stuff, and he's got several of them like signed. Like it's quite. I've shared him to JP before.
Oh yeah, I have to look because I'm still hunting. Every day I'm hunting. Like even homage covers. Like you probably know this one. This is from Adam Hughes.
Yes, I want that one. I want that. Yeah. I want that book.
Yeah, so
it's like $300.
Yeah, it's not expensive. It's not expensive.
Well, no, it's hard to find. It looks like it
is hard to find. It's not common. How's that? It's not. If you look for it, you could find it. But my favorite part is that I had this on WonderCon, and Adam Hughes took his, because this is a cardstock cover, so he did this to his thumb, and then he wrote on it. I said, I could see the witness there watching me doing like this kind of take, and he says, "Oh, these Sharpies are hard to draw on them because they need some kind of it has to have some fiber or something."
Yeah.
There goes my 9/8. But no, it came back at 90. So
yeah.
We just met him at Terrificon.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Is he going to be there in Baltimore?
I have no idea. I got a sketch of him. He's sketched in my book a great storm.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful. I have one too. I don't have to sign
this one for me. So
he signed it. Nice. Oh, that's so cool.
So
it is.
As a quick aside, I wanted to ask. I was scrolling through your IG, and I saw you're a fan of the character Magic as well.
You said the magic word. No pun intended. All pun intended.
But that's true, right? You have a lot of magic stuff. Yeah.
So I bought that statue for, it was only $800, but it was sold out. I bought it for $2,700. That's how much I love that. I have magic. I have a lot of magic stuff. You can see there's like 3 magic. Let me put it here.
Statues, yeah.
this was done in Japan. Koto Kibuya.
Yeah.
And guess who designed it?
Dave Stevens.
Oh no. Boy, that would be if there was a hidden Dave Stevens magic. I'm gonna mortgage the house to get that guy.
What?
Here, I'm gonna show you real quick who helped make that. It is. Oh, I'm gonna find it real quick. Adi Granov.
The same guy that did the Wanda book.
Yeah. So this is awesome. You can see it's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Exactly the same thing.
So tell me, what's the story? What's the connection? The affinity for magic? Where does that come from?
So when all because of story. I mean, even back then, it wasn't a big to do. She wasn't like the magic costume that she has, iconic costume that she has today. So when I collected, when I read magic, she was just Ilyana Rasputin in the New Mutants, right? Until I think it was X-Men number 160 or something like that, where she actually became magic. And then Chris Claremont did a story called Magic, which is, as we know, the one that we all know, like this one here. So this is the magic that started everything for me, because I read this and I said, dude, she's going through a portal and she's aging. I'm pretty sure that's the story. She's aging and she's going through the portal and she's learning all this stuff from Bolesco and an alternate Aurora in that place. I'm totally probably botching the whole story, but in my mind, that's how I think I remembered it. And then she came out of the portal and she was a full-on, teenager, because she learned all this magic and she had the control of limbo, or I don't know if she was the controller of limbo at the time, but I said, dude, that's the most amazing story I've ever had. I could see it almost like a film where it's like a baby girl becoming an adult or a teenager who has amazing powers, and then she all did it within like the 10 seconds she went through that portal.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I said, so I just became a Claremont nut. Like I read anything Claremont did, and from that point on, I just liked magic ever since then. And who knew that she was going to be one of the like hottest selling cover comics, among all other ones from Marvel, like White Queen. Emma Frost is probably they're neck and neck. And Magic and Emma Frost are kind of like very close. If definitely anytime Art Journal draws her or draws any one of them, it's always gonna be a pretty big hit. But yeah, Magic is like something I fell in love with a long time ago. So it wasn't just because she's kind of like a cool cover, good girl art type. It was just awesome. Big sword. That's awesome. It's like a Cloud from Final Fantasy.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to play Final Fantasy from number 2 to number 7, and I stopped at number 8. Number 8, you actually had to have a job. I was like, I don't want to come back home and work in a farm to get coins. I already do that at my real job.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
Do you guys play video games?
I don't, not anymore. I played as a kid. Yeah.
I try. I can't watch cartoons. I can't play video games. But as a kid, I did it all the time. But I have all the stuff to do it. PlayStation 2, 4, Xbox, whatever. But
the last thing I played was Counter-Strike. If you remember that from early 2000.
I'll tell you, the last thing I played was Super Mario World on Super Nintendo.
Wow. And how'd you manage? Did the comic books just take over, or
no? I just kind of in all reality, it just kind of transitioned to sports. Like I switched from comics into sports cards, and then kind of once I got into like middle school, I guess I just never really played video games again.
Yeah.
So
you're better off. Let me ask this question. This is the question I ask people who actually delve into comics and cards. Which one do you enjoy the most? JP, do you collect cards too?
Not now. I did as a kid. I went from cards to comics.
So it was cards to comics.
I still have my cards, but I prefer the comics myself.
Right. Are you talking about sports cards or any kind of card collectible?
Well, so I'll just for me, it was the Marvel cards that got me into comics. But then when I talked about that transition, that was to sports cards.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I don't do anything with sports cards now. And it's funny, like one of the things we love about this hobby is that it kind of takes us back to our childhood. Yeah. But I'm still super into sports. Like I watch sports every day.
Yeah.
But I have really no interest in collecting sports cards.
Right. Because because they're not as fun? that's my excuse. I used to collect a lot of sports cards, but then I got bored because it's only two sides and stats.
Yeah, I think probably because it's probably because I watch and are involved in so many sports as it is. Like I don't need another component of sports, maybe.
But think of it that way. But the reason we like the comics is because we watched the movies.
So
right.
So yes, but I would say like still like the proportion of like watching and participating in sports compared to comic IP is still sports are far outweighs that side. So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I honestly, I haven't really thought about it. I just know that like I have no interest in collecting sports cards. So
right, yeah. Well, I asked that because just by its face value, not looking at the legacy, I feel like if I was to choose as a child, like if I was a little baby and I didn't know anything about like Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson, all those guys, and I don't know anything about like Hulk or anything, and I saw it, I'd be like, "Ooh, the comic books look cooler." I mean, like it has so much more, in there, and I think that's where you can get great stories because it's a platform for the imagination. And I was always like artist type when I was a little kid, so that's why I keep asking my friends who still collect, cards, or I guess because if their fathers had a great relationship with them going to a baseball game, that's why they have that kind of history, of all that stuff. Versus, even comic books. But,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to conclude that I was never a sports guy. In Hawaii, there was a lot of people who love sports, but we didn't have a really good team or any team at all in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So it's not like like the Rams are here or the Steelers or anything like that. It was more like we love our home team, but we only love sports from afar. But comic books was something different because it was a water cooler moment or a lunchtime moment, with your friends.
Yeah, and that's probably also part of the do with the evolution, right? I mean, when I collected comics and cards, like that was what we did as friends, and then we transitioned to sports cards. That became the thing we did, and so yeah, it definitely has something to do.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with what you said, where you were in Hawaii. I was in Pittsburgh, so you had the Pirates, the Steelers, the Penguins. So I was into the sports early on, and then I got more into the art of drawing, and that brought me into comics. And I sort of did both a little bit, but I always liked the aspect of I could open up a pack of cards, find a Frank Thomas rookie card, and go to a next card show and sell it for $30. And I paid $2 for the pack or something, or $1, and then I just like flipping things and finding and specking, and there was a lot of specking going on in the 90s. We already talked about that. But even with baseball and football cards, you had all those Heisman winners and guys out of the draft. I mean, ProSet had their top 10 draft picks, and you were like Jeff George and Andre Ware and Blair Thomas and all those guys from college that were coming up, and you were going to get their card because they were the next Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson, Walter Payton, whatever, and none of them panned out. So another bad spec of the 90s, I have to tell you.
Well, I mean, I heard like there's unopened boxes out there. So depending on who, So like, can you imagine like 86 for Michael Jordan? What year was
85?
No, he's right. So the Jordan rookie that is like the market has declared as like
the Fleer,
the Fleer with the red border, and it's 86. There is a rookie card from 85, but it sells for far less.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's another one. Like in the 80s and 90s, I could have bought 181 Hulk 181.
Oh yeah,
I could have got Michael Jordan's rookie.
Oh my God, you could have gotten it for $30.
Yeah,
Hulk 181. I mean, I don't care what condition it was, you buy it. Yeah. But at the time, was Hulk 181 noted as the first appearance? Because
here's the funny thing I always tell people. So people always be like, oh, the Marvel cards. So if you remember those Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3 Marvel cards, they would list the character's first appearance on the back. Yeah. So for Wolverine, they would list Hulk 180. Similarly with Venom, they'd list ASM 299. However, if you remember in Series 1,
Hulk 180.
Yeah. So, but get this.
That. Bring it closer. Bring it closer.
Here's the thing.
That's the card then.
In that series, so that's that card that JP showed is Series 1. There's a subset of cards in there called MVC, Most Valuable Comics. So they made a card of some of the biggest comic covers. And you look, it's Hulk 181, not Hulk 180. Not 180, it's 181.
Boy, so confused the hell out of everyone.
Yeah, but my point is, even then, when they said this was the first appearance, 181 forever has been known as like the money book, right? Yeah. That's been indisputable. Like we can go back and forth on nuance.
Too late.
180,
it's too
181,
late. No,
but 181 is forever the money book.
Yeah, it's the best cover.
Yep.
I mean, who wants Wendigo throwing a car? I mean, that's
you want Wolverine on the cover, just like that. Just like that Jordan 86 Fleer. I don't know the market dictates for whatever reason.
Well, I don't even know how it looks like. How does it look like?
Well, the Jordan 86 is a phenomenal image, right?
Oh,
it's a phenomenal image. He's going up exactly. He's going up to dunk. Whereas like the 85, I want to say he's like grabbing a rebound or something like that. So it's just like it's kind of a similar thing there. Like it probably has a lot to do with the appeal of the card itself.
It has to be. Yeah, this is where covers really count. I mean, we can't argue. Like the Crow, Caliber Presents #1. It's Tim Vigil. I love him, but it's not the Crow.
Yeah.
First appearance to me.
The other one I like to think about too is like Ken Griffey. I grew up in Seattle, so Ken Griffey Jr. is my all-time favorite athlete. And when he came out, right, there were several card games. There was Don Russ, there was Topps, there was Upper Deck.
I remember Don Russ. He did some kooky stuff.
Yeah, but like, so they all had a Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, but the definitive card for Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie card is the Upper Deck card.
Oh yes, that's right.
And you cannot say that it has.
That's
nothing.
Right. Oh my God, you're bringing back some memories.
It absolutely has to do with the aesthetic appeal of that rookie card versus like the Don Russ rookie card looks kind of janky.
That's right.
Whereas like the Upper Deck one looks like so clean.
Oh my God, it was like I thought like Fleer was like the best because it has like it's very clean. It's not cardboard, right? Or like it wasn't like old pulp cardboard, but when Upper Deck came with, I think they had the hologram, right? Mm-hmm. Was it a foil?
The rookie Jordan. No, the rookie's not. Yeah,
but it had a great design.
It was a facial shot of him.
Yeah, it's just like him sitting there with a bat. Yeah,
I know that one very well. Iconic.
And let me ask a question here: Barry Sanders. What was the definitive the best Barry Sanders card?
See, that was a few years before I got into it, so I couldn't.
89, same year as Griffey. It was 89.
Okay, well, I mean, but like Barry Sanders was Detroit, so it's like I didn't know that. I don't know that card very well.
He was the greatest running back there ever was. I mean, like I'm saying, like 100%. You didn't love watching him run around in that bright blue.
I disagree. I agree. He's the greatest running back of all time. I'm just saying, like that was not a card that I like. Really, when it came to cards, for me, it was baseball and football. Baseball and basketball were the two card genres that I was really into.
Yeah. But also, it relates to the city you live in, right? Because you can't be a Mets fan if you live in Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Absolutely.
You just can't, right? You just can't.
I have a friend, and Rohan has a friend who lives in Canada, and he is a Dallas Cowboys fan. So how does the Canadian like America's team?
Well, I mean, I think like again, I severely dislike the Dallas Cowboys, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are like there are a few teams out there that just go beyond their geographic region. I'd say like the Cowboys are in there, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Lakers,
Steelers.
I mean, honestly, yeah. There's I've met a lot of Steelers fans that are not from Pittsburgh. So.
But I think what you're saying, Dave, is it's where you lived in Seattle. You had the Supersonics, you had the Mariners, but you did have a good the Seahawks team. You had
the Seahawks were terrible. Though,
you had Werner from he was the Largent was your wide receiver.
But they were the Seahawks made the playoffs one time in the 80s, right? And then they didn't make the playoffs until like 99 in Mike Holmgren's first. So like all through my like childhood, the Seahawks never made the playoffs.
Not to get too far off it, but again, I didn't have a basketball team in Pittsburgh, right? We had 3 teams, but not 4. But everybody knew Jordan, right? That's why it's surprising. Like I knew Griffey, and he's 3,000 miles away from me just because he had one of the greatest swings and he could catch any ball.
Like, Griffey is also one of those transcendental athletes, or he is an athlete. He is an iconic. Like he's not Jordan, right? But he's kind of that. Like he was always like for the All-Star game. He always led the votes, right? Everyone was a Griffey fan because he was so fun, right? It was the backwards cap. It was the swing, right? He had the shoes. Like everyone loved Griffey. So like he crossed boundaries, just like Jordan did.
I like how you guys are going about this. You guys sound like when I was at the comic book store and I'm arguing with the comic book guy behind the counter saying Rogue would kick Colossus's ass, and he'd be like, "No way, man! Colossus would like totally like get her down, like punch her down before she can even absorb her, take off her glove and absorb his power." It was just one of those. I said she already can lift 1 ton already, and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, it's like, look at the back of the cards and tell you how much you can.
Oh my god, did we do that too? Oh my god,
dude, that was the best. That was the best.
Cards was really helpful.
Yeah, that was Series 2 and Series 3, and that was my favorite part about those.
Sports was different because it's really a skill set. Like if Ken Griffey had a bad season, you can just loom that over on somebody's head forever until the next season.
Ken Griffey did not have a bad season.
That
tells you how much I know about sports.
We go back to Stevens, and one thing that you had brought up earlier, we were talking about the market itself. Not to get too far up on the card, but again, Rohan and I are going to change the format of the show in a couple of months, and we're going to debate things so we can debate different topics. One of them might be Sanders and Griffey. Another one might be why Dave Stevens is better than Jack Kirby. The covers that you showed. So, it would be very touchy. I look forward to that one actually. But the market with Stevens, has it reached the peak? And you said, the ones you're going to keep that you wouldn't get rid of no matter how much someone asked.
Yeah.
And the Vampirella, that one on the left. I was waiting for you to show that one. Where I want to know where that one's at. That one is like not even on eBay anywhere.
Yeah. So my left here. This is my left, I guess. Right. This one is a signed Space Vixens, and it's a gorgeous signature.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just 3 gorgeous women on a yellow cover. CBCS. I had this before JSA ever became JSA with CGC, and I like CBCS's
new label
slabs a little bit more. Oh, I like the new label a lot. I just like their slabs a little bit more. There's never a Newton ring, and it is tough to crack.
Yeah, they're
pretty
tough.
Their slabs are not easy. If I ever had to do a crack, press, and resubmit, not easy. I'm scared to crack the. There's actually I learned that there's a little lever in there you could crack, and then the whole thing just opens up. So I thought, it's stupid. I should research that stuff. But this is the one that is the biggest.
That's a ghost
in my So this is called Back Issues. It's created as it's like an overstreet price guide for Playboy comics and collectibles. Back in 1983, done by a family called the Cairns. John and Kathy ran the store a store or a small printing press for this. And Dave Stevens, big fan of sexy women, did the cover. Maybe he knew them. I don't know what their relationship is, but he got a cover. They got a cover from him, and there was one on sale on eBay about 3 months ago, and that went up. And boy, it was like a unicorn popped out of nowhere, and It's signed no less. So it was a race to get it, and I said I had to have it. I had to have it. So last sale of that was noted like in 2018 or 19, and a blank non signature went for $2,100 or something. So everyone's kind of basing it off from that. Then it went on auction 3 months ago, and it was on everyone's radar. It was like popping up everyone's feed, and I was like, damn it, that's not good for me.
No.
And I put up my highest bid, and I won it. I did it snipe at 3 seconds before, and boom, and I was crossing my fingers no one overdid my amount, and it closed out for $5,800.
Wow.
So I overpaid like crazy, but it was a little dirty, so I was able to clean it, and then I was able to get the glorious 9.8.
Yeah, I'd say all these books you're showing, they're all 9.8s.
Yeah, I only collect. I'm such a 9.8 snob.
Yeah,
you can chastise me, whatever. I don't care. Just curse me and whatever. But I think, Dave Stevens, you can still get them in 9.8s. Doesn't mean you cannot. They all can be found. It's not like a golden age book. You can still find them at the high. But guess what? Another one popped up on eBay 3-4 days ago, but not signed. And the guy is asking for $5,800 as a starting bid.
For that book?
Based off from this book that was bought, I would assume. So that's a little expensive to start off. You should let the market dictate. But obviously he wants it for that much, and I don't blame him, because why not try? I always say, if you don't try, you don't get, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but if you want one. Was that?
I want that one, but I don't know if I'm paying $6,000 for it, because it's
that's the tough one. I was willing to, because I'm going to start talking as a Dave Stevens fan, but it's one of those things where, when am I going to get another one? Can I sell a few other books? I'm sure you guys process this. Like, I really want that book. Well, what can I sell to, alleviate some of the costs from the amount that I'm going to spend? Can I sell a book for $2,000 to get that for only $3,000? And is $3,000 even way too much? Like, will I even sacrifice a big boy book for that book? Like, can I give a 9.2 X-Men, giant size X-Men, for that book? So you kind of reason with that yourself. I'm sure you probably went through that. Like,
oh yeah,
will I give up 2 Hulk 181s at 5.0 for that book? Most people will say, no, that's the stupidest thing. But I can always buy a Hulk 181. I can never buy this book. So the logic speaks for itself. Like, when you're gonna get it? Are you a big fan? And would you rather just take a picture and have it, framed on your wall, and that's good enough? And for me, I just like having his history.
And that's where I'm wondering with Stevens, is that he was not well known until recently. I mean, he's been well known, but it wasn't like he became popular.
Right.
So are we hitting the high of this? And
so the biggest high was probably last 2.5 months to 3 months ago, because a lot of them had resurfaced. Like, if you look at the census, it's still pretty low. Like, if you look at like Planet Comics, there's still like about maybe 30 or something like that. If you look at Space Vixens, there's only like 25. Like, if you really think about it, it's still low. But in the demand of Dave Stevens, like, I think if Dave Stevens was like this much, like last year, where kind of nobody knew who he was, like, it just went like that much compared to like Venom or Spider-Man, and it's like beyond the reach of the screen here. So, but it's great to have a niche that people can say, something new to collect. Because if you look, there's no one buying Dave Stevens during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But post-pandemic, people were selling off their big stuff, but willing to pay $1,000 for a a Black Angel #1, or from Verotic. That's a Dave Stevens cover. That went for 1,000.
Right here.
Exactly that. And if you have not sure if you have it there, but the DN Agents 24. Oh, I see it. Yeah. That went for 9.8 went for 800 to 900, and then then this one, the Johnny Quest #5 with Jade in the front cover, that went for $900. So there's no book that wasn't spec'd that Dave did, because they were mostly all very beautiful, good girl art, and it was something new. People just discovered, and there were a lot of them out there, but not like you can get them in high grade, because they're all in dollar bins. That's why I think people were trying to get the highest quality. It was almost, like I said, it was a fun time collecting. But I'll tell you this: now it's become a wall book. It can put on the wall, and it's also now he is a more of a household name. People can say Dave Stevens and not scratch their head. They can kind of know who he is, and I kind of like that, because documentary helps. Drawn to Perfection. That's a great doc, and the resources that we have to find Dave, like DaveStevens.com, and Jennifer Stevens, who's awesome. She's a great resource. If you ever go to eBay and look for her, she has a lot of stuff for his stuff for sale. So still great and accessible.
Yeah. I think as we can wind down here, as we're almost coming up to an hour and a half. I just wanted to say, I was saying this the other day. We were talking about if you saw, all these books all the time, would you get bored? And I said, no, it's not the fact that I used TOS 39 first time. I was like, it's not that you have a TOS 39 that's impressive. Mm-hmm. What's impressive to me is when you see someone that has a passion for what they're collecting and how that defines what it is they collect. That's what's impressive to me. And that could be impressive with a TOS 39. It could be impressive if you're a dollar bin collector, right?
Yeah.
The joy that it brings you. And then you can show this is what my collection's about. That's what's impressive. And so I think you're a great example.
Oh, thank you. So. No, I liked it that it was organically done versus someone shoving Dave Stevens down my throat and say, "You're gonna love this guy." And I would say no, I don't. Those kind of things just leave a bad taste in your mouth. But I think everyone else who's discovered him, whether it's FOMO or in any other way, if you discover it and you make your own decision that you like his works, even his paintings or even his commercial work, he's done ads for radios and recording devices, that's kind of a great discovery. And then you hear stories about how nice of a guy he was to everywhere he went. There's no one that has a bad story about this guy, so that resonates with me, because I kind of want to be that example too.
Yeah, that's excellent.
And the thing of it is what the book you bought, Back Issues, just in general, there's a reason, when you see a Dave Stevens, you really don't look at PSA or you don't look at previous sales. I mean, sometimes you might, but for the most part, I just want that book.
Yeah.
When I'm looking
at that moment,
yeah.
If
I'm looking at a whole 181, I'm it's a 4.0. Let me see what they sell for. Let me see what I'm no. I just want that one. Adam Hughes, right. I want that one.
Well, I think JP, in the light, if you were about to buy a 9.8 for $5,800, you'd probably do a little more GPA research or something like that, versus being I want that book, $6,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's a threshold for most of that stuff. Yeah. But you just want that book like you said, you overpaid for it. Whether time will tell, probably not because of it, but you knew you wanted it and you knew it was a good buy. For many reasons, so you didn't have to do it. Maybe you did more research than I'm alluding to.
I did.
I get the sentiment, though. I get the sentiment.
Yeah. It is true when you talk about value of something, and when you bought that, graffiti designs up there. I don't know how much you paid for it, but you know what you were willing to pay for it, and you got it for the price you wanted, and now it's valuable to you. you almost don't even want to research the price, because then you start over thinking about the amount you paid and you have buyer's remorse, and I'd rather not have that. Like when I did that for the back issues, I literally said I wanted it. Like I really wanted it because it would be a great addition to my collection. And when am I going to see that again in that with a signature? And you know, even if you looked at the original pictures, it was dirty in the back where there's like finger smudges and stuff. But you know, obviously if you clean it well and you think you could submit it, you know, great. You know, who cares if it came? I was saying like, oh, if it came back a 9.4, I would have been happy. Of course, I'm jumping up and down when you see a 9.8, and then you're like, all right, maybe it's the unicorn of unicorns. You know, it's signed. The only thing it needs is a double cover.
And I think that for a discussion for next time we have you on is your ability to clean and press these books to get them to 9.8.
Oh, I totally share my secrets. If I'm whatnot, you know, people ask me questions, I'll tell them, you know, how long I humidify it for, how long I press it for. You know, I even double or triple press something if it needs to be. Don't be afraid to press it again. You know, a lot of this stuff, it comes with bravery, you know, because most times I'm sure we want the same, you know, if we have a book that's valuable, you know, and if you pass and you pass it along to someone else, you want them to have the best book possible. And it's actually fun to do. I mean, like I pressed one of the, like some books that were like literally like 8.0s and it becomes like a 9.2. It's just one of those things is like, whoa, we have the power to do that here, you know? And it's fun. And I don't do it as a business, but a lot of people have asked me to do it. And, you know, I don't mind doing it, you know, as if they don't mind the long turnaround time. But yeah, it's fun, you know, collecting. Especially, I think Dave Stevens is really the most funnest I ever had. I tell you this: if it wasn't for Dave, I don't think I would have had as much fun as I am right now. And even if no one's collecting it now, it doesn't matter. I just followed my gut and I just loved it for the past 2.5 years.
That's awesome. That's what's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, this has been a real treat having you on. I appreciate you coming on, and yeah, absolutely would love to have you on again down the line.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it could be something else. I mean, I'm on to a different artist that I love again, and you know, maybe I'll share that. I don't have to do it now, or else we'll just go on a rabbit hole. But yeah, there's always something cool and something new, and I hope people just continuously discover and do it on your own. You know, don't let, you know, other people decide for you. You know, let your mind and your heart just say, wow, that looks awesome. Just collect it.
And what do I always say, Rohan?
Always believe in yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Believe in yourself, collect what you want, enjoy it.
Yeah. Exactly. Everyone should follow those rules, and they'll enjoy it forever and ever.
Yep. Absolutely. Awesome. David, thank you so much. JP, why don't you take us out?
Peace out, everyone. Believe in yourself. Peace out.